Hey everybody, welcome back to Champion Sons in our college football dynasty series here, where we are in our new program getting ready to bring Happy Valley back to the promised land that they could have been, that they had their time in early on decades ago. Uh, and we're trying to bring them back. It's been a struggle. They've had problems over the years. Last season, they had a good roster put together. They just struggled when it came time for injuries and stuff like that through the season. So here we are trying to bring them back up. So welcome back to the channel if you are returning to Champion Sons, and welcome if you are new here to all of our college football content. Now, part of the way we need to bring this team back up to what their potential truly could be is obviously going to be through recruiting. Now, right now, we have got 19 recruits put on our board. A majority of these guys are 5-star talent. Then we have it mixed in with a fair good amount of 4 stars as well. Because it's really to build any program. I mean, you can develop, obviously, like 3 stars and stuff, right? You really can. But if you want to see immediate impacts, you need to get you hate saying it, the higher caliber prospects. But that's essentially what it is. That's why there is a 5-star rating for some athletes, but not for all. And that's really what we need to go after, are these higher caliber, because we need to see that immediate return on investment. Now, it's a slow go for us. We're going to try, but it is definitely a slow go. Now, taking a look at our roster, you'll see Hochstein, the freshman, we do have him over Ingold. Now, Ingold is 86 overall. Hochstein is 80. There's a reason for that. I'm having him start over Ingold. One, we're new here. We need to get ourselves implanted. Let's just let the future happen now. Plus, when we take a look at some of the throw power issues, Hochstein's 94, Ingold's 89. Middle accuracy, Hochstein's 89, Ingold's 83. Deep accuracy, there's quite a little bit on it, but I think deep balls, you can definitely vary as far as your accuracy goes. You can make up for some of that with the quality of the receivers and so forth, and then really how you play the game and set up those deep passes. I think Hochstein just offers us a little bit more, even though he is a lower rated quarterback, and it gets our future started now instead of waiting. So now taking a look at the half backfield. Emerson is going to start. He's an 82 overall. Newsel, we did bring him in as a transfer freshman recruit. He's got ability, and I think we're just going to split time between both of them. I like using multiple backs. I don't want just one. And the same thing when it comes to wide receivers. We got really good talent. They're not highly rated, but look at the speed that we have on them. Rahman is 96. Brown is 99. Sterling's 93. Grimes is 96. Abel's 92. Vogel's 94. So when it comes to the passing game, we're gonna be spreading it out. But really, it's going to be trying to get these guys in open space. Either we're not going to be getting a whole lot of contested catches going our way. We're going to have to go to the open space route. Our tight ends are led by Luke Reynolds. He's a senior. He's earned it. He's going to be taking that spot. Same thing with when it comes to the offensive line. I think, we are going a pretty, veteran offensive line here. For the most part, Jaquan Jowers, he is going to be a redshirt freshman who's earning the start. Overall, he's got he's a little lower in some places, right? He just is, over some of the more veteran style of players. But I think when you take a look at someone like him, he's got a lot more capability than what he lets on. So I am taking a look at our roster overall just to see if there's any last second changes that we need to make. But I think we're pretty well kind of set up, especially on the defensive side. Taking a look at our defensive end, McGloster. We got some pretty decent speed coming off the edge. These are defensive ends, they're not linebackers. They're mid-80s speed. Acceleration is good. Strength is good. Awareness for McKillop is better than, obviously, McGloster. That comes with, tenureship and being a veteran in the system. And I think it'll pick up pretty much all the way around. Guys like Steve Fournette coming on the other side, once again, speed, strength, awareness, everything that we really need to have a successful defensive line. Because I think on the defensive side, we can't let guys cover for hours upon hours or seconds upon seconds, I guess. In reality, we need to keep them, I guess you could say, flowing in and out of the system. We need to keep them fresh. And I think the way our defensive line is set up, it's set up to really keep pressure on the quarterback. And that's something I think that'll really play to our strengths as we kind of go along throughout this season. It's going to be a little tough matchups. Definitely some tough matchups. But I think the way we're set up, our front seven set up to stop the run. We can stop the run and get pressure on the quarterback. Are we going to get 10 sacks a game? As much as I would love that, no, that's unrealistic. But we're set up to the point where we'll at least get the pressure, cause the disruptions, provide enough backup for our defensive backfield so they can focus on covering. Because in the backfield is where we do see some lacking. Mitchell's a 90, Potts is 86, but Wall, Cahill, and Matlock are all 79s. Now, Cahill and Matlock have got some speed. Wall's a little less. So we have some deficiency in our defensive backfield, which is probably going to hurt us at some point during some of these games. But it's going to come with time. We're going to have to figure out how to formulate our defense. We do run a 4-2-5, so we can get enough people covered. We may not be running as much man. It may be zones mixed in with zone blitzes. Is probably going to how we're going to have to go on the defensive side for a pretty good while until we get some guys, I guess you could say, caught up to speed. Get them caught up to speed so that way we can really kind of separate out into some man coverage, leave some of our defensive backs out on an island, let them do what they do while we're able to bring enough pressure to bring the quarterback down behind the line. It's going to be a fair mix. It's going to take a little bit to figure that out with our team. And we're going to go and jump into this season here starting out. We are doing a home-and-home series with the Florida Gators. And so we are playing here in Gainesville on the first game of the season, first game of the series. And you can see our freshman quarterback, no fear. He's got that escapability to him. He's definitely not a scrambler by any means, but he's got the ability to take off a little bit better than Ingold did. Like I said, Ingold may have had the speed, but he wasn't going to break that tackle. Hochstein, he's young, he's dumb, he's full of piss and vinegar. That's the kind of person you need who stand up against some of these defenses that he's going to be facing. And so, really, overall, I think he's a good young talent. He's going to take time to bring into pace. He makes a lot of smart plays. You can see in his first game out here, it's a tough environment. The swamp is 6 of 8 for 83 yards already, and we're just now getting into the second quarter. So he's got capability, but he's still young. He's young, and he's inexperienced. So let's put him in the best position to win. And running plays like this with Rahman, there's the speed that we mentioned when looking at our roster. Having that kind of speed, that's going to be the freshman's best help. Having some veteran receivers that know how to move when they get into open space, that's going to help him the most. And I think this team is really set up to kind of spread out that way and to make those kinds of plays when they come available to them. Now, on the defensive side, we've got, like I said, we pointed out some of the past defensive back issues. But as I said, where we kind of make up for it, I think, is going to be on the defensive line. We got a lot of speed coming off the edges. We've got a good linebacker core who maybe we don't have to blitz so much. You can kind of drop back in his zone, keep those zones covered so the quarterback really has nowhere to go with the ball. That's kind of really the hope at that point. But it's not always going to be 100% positive or 100% effective. So what you got to do is really, hope that you can put defenders in the right place. Like Potts right there came up. He's a little bit slower, but you can see how he was caught behind, but his body positioning led to that interception there. And those are the things that our defense is going to have to do. Like I said, we have a freshman. The Florida fans are just stunned, shocked that we could have gotten that interception in that one. But you put the guys in the right position, and then they'll be able to make plays for you. So that's what happened there. Um, it's just one of those things that as we go during these games, we're going to see this team evolve. Like I said, for the most part, we're a younger team, and you can see that youth come through as Hotchkin got plastered on that throw. Really never should have made it. And it turns into a pick six. I mean, that's a young kid who doesn't know the value of taking a sack versus trying to get the ball out. You gotta remember that some of these athletes in high school could throw the ball anywhere, anytime, and it would just be completion. But once they get into big boy college football, it doesn't always work out so well for them, and it didn't work out for us on that play. But that's part of having youth on the team. It just is. It's just the way it goes. But one thing you want to measure up is how does your team respond, and how does our freshmen respond besides, driving the team down the field. We got under a minute and a half remaining. Now, for those of y'all who know with college football, it's been kind of I guess I would call it a bug, the clock. Even though we have accelerated clock on, in the final 2 minutes, it doesn't do that. At least not at the time of this recording. It doesn't now, but not at the time of the recording. So here we're going to try to take some time off. That's why you kind of see us just sitting here waiting. Take some time down before we drop in the pass over to our tight end coming across the field. And I mean, that's a simple enough play, right? When you got young kids in there, you got some seniors on the out there in the receiving core. But when you got a young quarterback, let's make it as simple for him as possible, right? Like I said, young and dumb, make it real simple. A lot of crossing patterns and so forth, and that's what we did. And so in this first game, taking a look at our halftime performance, we do lead 21-10. On the defensive side, we've gotten 3 sacks. It's a pretty good number, but a lot of those have been because we forced them to roll out. It wasn't something that came on a blitz. It was the pressure coming off our edges, which is something we were looking for, something we were wanting to have happen. And it's really kind of paying off for us so far. Now, like I said, we've made mistakes. Hotchkin, freshman throw right there, freshman mistake with the pick six. Things like that are going to happen. We got to bounce back from him, and the kid did a great job bouncing back immediately, driving straight down the field to score a touchdown. That's all you can really ask of these people, of these kids from us. Now, out here in the second half, Florida would come up and put up 2 field goals. So now here we are in the fourth quarter. We still haven't scored. Our offense has been struggling, so it's one of these things where back and forth we kind of feel like we're going. And this is how these games are going to go, I think, for a little bit. When you come in once, and one thing, it's a new program, so it's a new offensive system for these players. They're not fully 100% recruited for the way we would have done it, but they're on our roster. And so now what you kind of have to do, and there's another freshman mistake being made by Hotchkin, rolling out way too quick. Everybody got bunched up on the right side. And instead of just running forward, he rolled out and let himself get sacked. That's an unforgivable kind of mistake. But here we come on the bounce back, little jet sweep pass, give it over to Brown, let him take it in. That's one thing you have to tell those young quarterbacks. Let your playmakers make the plays. You give them the opportunity, they will come through for you. And he did come through in a big-time way right there on that sweep pass. Josiah Brown, he had the speed. He's one of our faster receivers, and he came through for us. Now, we still have to stop him, right? There's still game time left. Getting the team to play all the way through the whistle is a big one on 4th and 24. Don't let them do anything. Don't let them make any worthy kind of play. Shut it down. Put them out of their misery. And it's good to see the team doing that in week 1. That's something that, even at North Texas, and yeah, I get it, it's North Texas and not Penn State. But even good teams struggle with that at times, right? Putting a team out, putting a team down when you have your foot on their throat. I'll give you a real life example, okay? Texas. That's my favorite team. I live in Austin, so the Horns are my squad. Take a look at the game against Arkansas. Had opportunities, didn't put them out. The game against Kentucky. Had opportunities, but we let a damn hobbled Ewers stay in, and we didn't put them out of their misery until the very end of the damn game. It never should have taken that long. And I truly think, had we put someone like Arch in, it probably would have alleviated that. We probably would have put up at least one more score, made life more bearable for us fans, because we'd be less stressed. You know, I got appointments with cardiologists and stuff, and I need my horns to not put stress on my ticker. You know what I mean? But that's the way it goes. That's what they do. So coming off week 1 win, taking a look at recruiting, we have some guys that, yeah, we've moved into the top 5. The problem is, even after dropping a couple, like we did drop one recruit off our list, the problem is we need to schedule a visit. And that takes hours and time to do. We have so many bye weeks. I think I've kind of figured if we can recruit hard enough, we may not need to schedule visits. Because, yeah, you have to take points off some of these guys, and I hate doing that, and I think I haven't deciphered what that impact is. I do believe if we kept the whole send the house thing for them, it probably would be better in the end, but I haven't really deciphered that at the time of this recording. I think now, when I say time as it stands still right here, let's just say this is the Thursday after the Texas-Kentucky game, or Tuesday. Thursday after Texas-Kentucky is Thanksgiving. So yeah, we're 2 days shy of Thanksgiving. I think now I've got a lot better handle on than at the time of this recording. And when was this recording made? I don't know. It's been a while. I'll say that. I play a lot of games, folks. I play a lot of games. I play games, record, and then I forget to do episodes. Sue me. That's what happens. But I think I've got a better handle on the recruiting where we are now with my recordings than at the time of this one. So you'll probably see me make some mistakes. Don't stress. I try to fix them as best I can. And what's the best way to alleviate any mistakes that do get made? It's going to be by performing on the field. That's right. That's what we got to do. Perform on the field. Now, week number 2, I decided to take on my old team, North Texas. That's just something I like to do. If I leave one school, I go to the other, do a new one. I like to play my previous squad. Just gives them one last shot at me if they want to try to take me out. And you got to keep in mind also, North Texas is defending national champion. All right, they're number 10 in the country, and you can see why as Tuck jumps up for that interception, because Hochstein once again made a freshman-style throw. They're number 10 in the country, and I don't really want easy tests. I want true kind of test us type of games. And it'd be interesting to see how the guys I recruited perform. Like I said, they're number 10 in the country. They're 1-0 on the season. I don't know who they played in week 1. Probably wasn't anybody worth mentioning. Probably an FCS team. But, I mean, hey, you can see how some of these guys are stepping up. Now, after that interception, part of winning football games is going to be complementary football. The defense did its job and held them. Now the offense comes back once again and gets another shot at it and use the speed. Abel, the kid's got a flash about him. He's got the speedster. He can run, he can juke, he can move, he can cut. Once again, let your playmakers make plays. You know, that's the easiest thing we can do for a freshman quarterback. Let the playmakers make plays. Abel got a hold of that one and was able to. Now, on the defensive side, here's where we see some of our youth kind of show up on the defensive secondary section. I guess not so much youth, but just not the greatest play in the world. Letting some of those passes go free. Opens up this run game, and look at that one, powering that one right through our defensive line. Now, like I said, these are kids I recruited when I was there. For the most part, there's that last little offseason, but Kashama was one of the guys I recruited. He was one of our first, I think, 4, maybe 5-star prospects. I think he was a 5-star prospect because he is just a sophomore. So these guys are recruited. I know they mean business. So we got to mean business right back at them. Just because it's North Texas, you can't take them lightly. And just like that, Hochstein. And there's that arm strength. Okay, so another reason to put Hochstein in over Ingold. The arm strength. And I guess we could attribute that to throw power and all that stuff. But Hotstein is able to hit that pass. That's a slant pattern in between multiple defenders. And it puts it in a way that the game allows Rahman to make that catch before getting plastered by, I think, Schaefer right there in the defensive secondary. Before getting plastered by him and the ball being jarred loose. That's what that arm strength does. That's why he's in the game instead. Now, screen passes, when we're on defense, I don't think it so much has to do with the awareness of the defender, especially since we play the line. I mean, obviously, I think if it's a CPU-controlled player, then obviously, yes, it does. But when I play defensive line primarily, and that's what I like to do. The screen passes, getting pressure, keep that on us. That's going to be the best thing for us. And you add enough pressure on a quarterback, as I mentioned, just disrupt them, and things like that will happen. That interception. Wilkes did go into panic mode and ended up throwing that pick, and you could just tell once we kind of got under their skin, it was just relentless for us. Here we are in the fourth quarter, leading 41-10, but we're going to go and snag another one from them right there. That's what you need. Once you get them under pressure and they're making mistakes and you have a lead, now you're going to force them into a position where they are forced to throw the ball into situations they don't want to throw into. And that's going to lead to turnovers. And, I mean, you got to love it whenever you see that happen from your team, not from the team you used to coach, but from your team. And that led us to a big win over defending national champions, the Mean Green of North Texas. Now, like I said, we played them at home. I was not about to travel to Denton. We are Penn State, for God's sakes. And North Texas is still in the American Conference. We're not going to them. They can come to us. Just we're not going to pay the defending national champion millions of dollars like what would normally happen in that real situation. Yeah, I mean, I guess we probably could, because this schedule would probably be set about 4 or 5 years ago, right when we took over there. So maybe we did pay him to come get a butt whipping. So let's take a look at the recruiting after week 2, right? And we have moved up in some people, but we've also started dropping. Morgan Rhodes is one that we have started dropping. And one of the reasons for that, I think, truly is because we took off in the house so we could do the whole the different type of recruiting for him, the visit and all that stuff. That's something that I think we really have to be careful of, because some of these guys we're maintaining. Calvin Stocks, some of these 4-star guys we're maintaining. Others we're kind of dropping down to that second position, and it's just one of those, we have to be careful of it, and let's get some points things scheduled when we can. And one other thing I do eventually start to try here is once we hit the top 3, and I would definitely suggest this in any recruiting that you're doing. If you hit the top 3, you know, a lot of people have the whole send the house movement on them and all that stuff. Don't just keep this in the house. I mean, that works and all that. But if you have the interest marker indicators on their list, go ahead and do the hard sell and pick the one that hits all those points, right? That's what you want to do. Pick the one that hits all of those points once you're into that top 3. And, man, I think it really helps give that last little momentum push to put you over the top to sign some of these recruits. Like I said, at that time, I hadn't figured that one out yet. I don't really watch a whole lot of recruiting videos. I'm fairly certain stuff like that's already been mentioned. I don't really watch a whole lot of those recruiting videos on how to do it in the game. I just trial and error myself, and then I will share it with you if I kind of figure it out. At least I've got a feeling I've got it figured out. Still can't promise you 100% with that. So getting these visits scheduled for some of these athletes, right? We started out with like about 19 or 20. We're down to 15 targets. And as you see, our points are fairly hard to get. We're at 800 recruiting points a week. For Penn State, that's just abominable. It should be definitely way more than that, but this is where we are right now. So we've got to kind of take that in stride and deal with it the best that we can. Because, one, this team went 2-10 last season. They've had been like 7-5 the years before that. We understood it wasn't going to be the greatest situation, but we've got to take advantage of it and make things happen. Now, in week 3, another part of our home and home series, along with the Gators, is going to be with the Red Raiders coming out of Texas Tech in Lubbock. The first game with them, also playing on the road, traveled out to West Texas here to take them on. It is going to be set up to be a nail biter, but a true test for a team. The Red Raiders are number 9 in the country. They've had some good seasons coming. This is not an easy team, and plus the stadium is a tough place to play. Anybody that's ever watched a game there on TV or anything knows that it's tough to play. And when you're playing the Red Raiders at home, just crazy things can happen. And that's why you don't want your freshman quarterback thrown into the back corner of an end zone in a very tight throwing space, right? You just don't want that happening. And in a game like this, also, you got to realize no matter what you do on defense, they're going to put some points up, right? A game against Texas Tech, against some teams, it's going to be, I mean, obviously the way you win is by outscoring the other team, but there's definitely a difference in games where you just have to outscore them versus you have to make those stops. You have to make those, you have to make the stop in the pivotal point versus you just got to outscore them. Tech generally tends to be a team that you have to outscore, meaning you're not going to get a whole lot of stops. You know this, and I know this. So take advantage of things when you can. And special teams is a great way to make that happen. Josiah Brown comes up, big punt return. That's that speed we love seeing on the offensive side. That's that speed that we want on the outside, and doing things like returning these kicks. That's what makes this team essentially special in that way offensively. Josiah Brown being a senior, coming up with a big-time punt return, and that makes your life easier as a freshman and as a coach to have a special teams capable of that. Now, as I told you, it's an outscore kind of situation, and you wouldn't have thought with where we were in the second quarter after that punt return that you'd find us here in the fourth quarter in a 34-34 game, and our freshman quarterback deciding to fumble with under 2 minutes remaining, because why wouldn't he? Like I said, this is a tough environment. Kids are going to make mistakes, but you still don't expect him to fumble in that situation. He really should do better than that. So now, here's where you find yourself being tested quite a bit. Not only as an offense failing to get a drive put together with under 2 minutes to go, but as a defense coming right off a turnover. And the best way to respond is to force a turnover of your own, and that's complementary football. All right, some say complementary football is where every stage plays at its top level altogether. I think at times that's obviously true, but in other times, God, they look so shocked. Complementary football at the same time is you've played well and we played well, but now you're struggling, let's take that up for you. Now we're struggling, you carry that load. And then both teams struggle, and we leave it down to our kicker there in the final seconds to make a game-winning field goal on the road. Anybody who's kicked a damn field goal in this game knows that's a lot harder than what it appears to be, even if it is a 30-yard field goal, or 20-yard field goal, excuse me. But complimentary football, it's not always everybody's firing on all cylinders. It's when you're down, where we'll pick up the slack. When we are down as a defense, the offense picks up the slacks and puts up some damn points, keeps possession of the ball. Offense is turning it over. Defense says, don't worry, we got your back. Neither team is scoring. Special team says, we'll block that kick. We'll return that punt. We'll open this game up a little bit. And that's what you want to see. Now, Hochstein had a great day. 356 yards, about 80% completion percentage, and 3 touchdowns. Don't let the completion percentage fool you. It does look good to see that number. But one of the biggest reasons why is we have a freshman quarterback, so we haven't put things too complicated for him. He hasn't really had a game yet where he's been in a position that I guess you could say he's had to struggle. And it's mainly because defensive coverages haven't been there. We have so much speed happening on our offensive side of the ball that he's able to drop in shorter passes that go for longer gains. That's a big thing. Any freshman quarterback out there, you want to bring them up, bring them on. That's the way to do it. Now, here's one thing I think every freshman quarterback, even if it's your home team, a Saturday night primetime game, those are not the easiest. Even if, like I said, when you're in home or you're playing a team like Northwestern, who's a little down and out, we are undefeated at this point. We are 3-0, trying to bring ourselves into prominence against a 2-3 Northwestern squad. Like I said, these games aren't easy just because of the environment. So you have to be smart with it. Now, normally we try to keep it out of Hodgson's hands to a point where he could cause a turnover. That option play was a little risky, but it did pull off. Hodgson barely got the toss out there. We're going to have to keep a watch on that as far as running that play. Emerson, though, did a great job coming out of the backfield. He's obviously a very talented back. Our running game is important to us. You don't see it because it's generally not the more flashy of the plays, but it is something that we do value highly. So, on the defensive side, I mentioned our defensive line earlier in the episode being able to get pressure without having blitzes. That's a prime example of it right there. Kane Kiernan, he's a junior. And what I love about juniors is the fact that, one, they're built up pretty well. They don't have much more development to go. However, they are young enough that you get them for another year. So you can have fairly consistent performances across 2 seasons, which is a powerful thing. Now, I mentioned Hodgson's arm strength, and there it is on display, prime time. Now we can say, well, the pass went 30 yards, or 32 yards, and it wasn't a 50, 60-yard bomb. No, it wasn't. But what he did do is he put that thing on a line enough that the ball got to his receiver before a defender could. Rahman was really able to catch that, and you'll see the safeties coming over right as that throw gets made. And there's the safety over there, but Hodgson put that one in a place to where only Rahman was going to be able to make the catch, and it wasn't going to be disrupted by a defender. So you got to take a couple grains of salt with this, throwing it. And there's another example of the arm strength. Back foot throw across, not so much across his body, but coming across the field to hit that thing on a rope. That's why you put the freshman kid in. That was one of those kind of young and dumb throws that works out for you. That's why you put in the freshman, because he's got that kind of capability. Now you have to bring it to light. Like, we have to be able to highlight that with some of these passing patterns. But it stood there in the pocket, and it wasn't the best spiral, so there's definitely a little lame duckness to it, but he put enough fire behind that ball that he's able to power that thing into the end zone. And at that point, our offense pretty much for the most part became unstoppable. Yeah, the game scored a lot closer than what it really was. So don't fool yourself on that one. But overall, I mean, it was just a well-played game. Like I say, complimentary football by the offense and the defense on both sides. We did put our backups there in the fourth quarter, which is why you kind of saw Northwestern go off just a little bit on the scoreboard, but things happen. Now, finally, 4 weeks into it, staying undefeated, we get our first recruit, Sateki Slaughter. He is going to be in the safety area, free safety, strong safety. We'll have to see where he floats between first 5-star recruit that we were able to land this season, and it's only taken 4 weeks to do it, for God's sakes, because that's what you want it to do. You want it to take 4 weeks. But hey, we got him at least, and now I think we hopefully will start to see some of those dominoes fall into place. But we do still have some more football games to be played. Like I said, we're starting a new format. Instead of doing that base commentary on them, we're just going over our team as we get through the seasons. Like I said, I played a lot. Kind of caught myself off guard with how much I played. Try to get caught up on where we were, and to really follow the coach's progression in his career, because this is about the coach, not about the team. It's about Coach Bubba, not about what team he's with. That's why we left North Texas. Sometimes you got to leave a team. It's just the way it goes. But we find ourselves here in week 5, a game against Wisconsin, a rival. we find ourselves in kind of a precarious situation, right? We're 4-0. We're playing well, but it's raining. It's a Saturday evening. It's not Saturday prime time. It's one of those, man, this is kind of set up for us. Wisconsin's a good team. Don't get me wrong. They definitely are. But, I mean, as you can see, just speed on the outside. We saw some of our defense back. We know they're slower. But our offense is performing well, which in this environment with this weather is kind of tough. The problem is, can we maintain it? Because that's what we're going to have to do. We're finding open spaces right now, but this is still technically early in the game. And I think we are in the second quarter. Yeah, just more or less early into the second quarter. We're able to find those spaces, but it has to be consistent. We can't take our foot off. Wisconsin's a number 5 team in the country, people. Number 5. They're 6-0. All right. This is a game where it ain't over until that clock hits all zeros at the end of the fourth quarter. And so, I talked about Wisconsin or our slow defensive backs. If we don't give them a chance to have to be beat out deep, this is what happens. We put them in a proper spot. Deshaun Presley with another interception. And really, zone defense, I think, is what we're going to have to run. It's hard because at times, no matter what, a deep ball will beat your zone. But it puts our guys more likely to be in position than where they would be in any other situation, I guess, if that sounds right. Here we are in the third quarter, and there's Hochstein making a freshman style of throw, allowing that one to be intercepted. Now, our receiver did a great job chasing him down. Josiah Brown did, but you can't make that kind of throw. And that one led to a touchdown there. So now, even later in the third quarter, on the ensuing drive, you want to see him bounce back, and it's good to see the kid's got the gumption about himself to bounce back. That's always a big thing. He could have thrown that interception, which led to the touchdown, said, oh, crap, here comes the number 5 team in the country. But no, he drove down the field and put up another one. So this thing goes from, once again, a 1-score to a 2-score ball game. And a part of that, obviously, is on Hodgstein's shoulders. With him being the offensive leader and giving up interceptions. But at the same time, you want your defense to be able to step up and make some of those plays as well. And that's where we find ourselves in some situations. Now, this is a zone play that was run, right? And anytime you have issues with zone plays getting beat deep, which you never really should, especially if you're running a deeper zone, it's really one of two things. One, you're talking about a play action. For some reason, a user's defense will bite hard on a play action in just about any situation. But two, if they're playing up close to you, then it becomes just go around you, first step, and you're beat. Like I said, any time you're in a game like this, it's never over. Well, Wisconsin just tied it up with about 3 minutes ago in the fourth quarter. Like I said, we were up 24-7 at one point. Now it's a tie ball game at 31-31. This is what can happen whenever we don't put our foot down on the pedal. This whole all gas, no brakes. We just hit the brakes hard and threw another interception. Hochstein never should have made that throw. That is learning the value of taking a sack over an interception, over forcing the ball in. And that's a lesson every quarterback has to learn, and sometimes it comes harder than others. But hey, at least we find ourselves with an opportunity, right? We got the ball back after the pick six. Now we are trailing by a touchdown, but we have a chance. And let your playmakers make plays, man. Just let them do it. Abel gets another touchdown. Pure speed. Get him in some open space. Our receiving core is got so much speed about them. Give them a little open space. They'll be able to do just about anything with that ball. And so we finally get the game tied up here. About 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Once again, anybody who's played this game knows 37 seconds is a damn lifetime. But, hey, we were able to hold them off, so here comes overtime. Now, this is Hodgstein's first overtime ever. And he almost threw an interception. Got to be smarter than that. Probably could have taken off, but that's going to lead to a field goal opportunity. Now, this, as much as I'd like to blame the game, this really also comes down to me. I think I've kind of got it figured out for the most part. But field goal kicking from up close, I've never had that happen. I've always had it cut short on the inside post, right? But I've never had it shoot all the way across, even when it seems like I'm aiming way across until that kick right there. So usually the kicker sucks, but it happens. We missed it. Wisconsin made it. This is the way football goes, right? You let the number 5 team in the country stay in a game like we did, they're going to come back and beat you. Tyler Fraboni, 3 catches, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That was the kind of the speed element over our defensive backs that we knew existed but hadn't been exploited until this game. Hurts. It hurts to see it, hurts to feel it. It really hurt to play it. I'm not really a gamer rage kind of person, but yeah, it pisses me off. However, hey, for each dark side, there's a bright side. Quincy Duque commits. We had one other 4-star commit. So we're getting some players, which is a positive note. But you hate to have that loss, especially when our season was going so good. Now, one other problem you don't want to have, you want to avoid that loss, is you'd hate going into a big game after a defeat in a previous big game. You know. So what do we do after Wisconsin losing to them at home? Is we decide to travel to the Horseshoe because we figure if we're going to play in a big game, might as well make it a really big one right after. And just a regular old school Big Ten rivalry. Not an Ohio State-Michigan kind. I don't know what makes that one so special. But still a rivalry game nonetheless. And what do you do in rivalry games? You have to start out quick and get a score, get points on the board, and then you can't stop putting them on. We got that one done real quick, got the first points out there, and now we just got to make sure not to stop. So now that we've got a lead in a rivalry game, this is where you want to avoid those learning pains of being with a new team. Keep the foot down. I know you've heard me say it by God knows how many times. I think I probably heard Steve Sarkisian say no gas, or all gas, no brakes, his first year when we lost 5 of 7 and had the lead in 11 of those games. But you got to keep fighting forward and pushing. And the defense, big-time plays, forcing turnovers right there. That's a major thing, giving our offense extra opportunities, right? And normally you definitely will always want to do that, not just whenever you have a freshman quarterback to make sure he stays warm. But momentum-wise, in these kind of games, momentum is huge and truly cannot always be understated. Now, we wouldn't put up a touchdown on that drive. We did get a field goal, though, coming off the turnover, but points are points. It just went from a 1-score to a 2-score ball game, and that's a big thing. There's our defensive line that we mentioned getting pressure. Another thing that looks like Gilliam coming right up the gut there to hit Nolan. And that's what we've needed. Drop our defensive backs into a zone coverage because, let's face it, we don't have the speed for the man-to-man right now. And let the defensive line cook. So that's what happened right there. And it's good to see that defensive line playing to its full potential in that sense. Now on a 1st and goal, run that option, get it to the outside. Amerson's got the speed. That's just smart play calling. Once again, let the players make the plays. Put them in a good position. That's all we really have to do. That's what kind of makes playing with these bigger teams. It makes it a little bit more fun in that sense because someone who stresses out over like me, it makes it a little bit more fun to be able to put these guys in that position and say, all right, I've got it out on the option. Let's go hammer that one home. It wasn't until that last year with North Texas that we started to really have that kind of talent, especially in the deep and especially in our backfield with Dubar and what he could do on the ground. So having that here at Penn State, it just feels amazing. And then Hodgson, there's that arm strength coming up, big time throw, pressure in his face, and that just, he's firing on all cylinders. And like I said, he's kind of young and dumb, so he doesn't truly understand that when you come into these environments, when you're playing on the road against a big name program, whether it's here at the Shoe, whether it's at AT&T Jones Stadium in Lubbock, or even at the Swamp in Gainesville, he's supposed to be kind of more nervous about it than normal, but he don't know no better. And as a coach, I also think at times take advantage of that. If you don't know any better, take advantage of it. And that's what we're kind of doing. We have speed on the outside. Use it. And finally, we're able to get in a position. I mean, talk about the zone defense. Pressure was coming. Quarterback had to get rid of it. We had 3 defenders right there on him. John Mitchell gets the 57-yard pick six coming off that outside. He just happened to be the guy in position. But there were multiple Nittany Lion defenders around him. Any one of those guys really could have stepped up. It just happened to be Mitchell that did it. And that's what extends this lead out like crazy. That's what sets us up for success is playing at that caliber. And once again, complementary football. Defense firing on all cylinders. Offense is also firing on all cylinders. They're there when they don't. When either one is not playing as well, they're there to back each other up. But hey, they're all having a great kind of game until you see a freshman make that kind of throw. Talk about complimentary football and how great the offense is doing, and then they just throw a 75-yard pick six to Mr. Aaron Scott Jr. of the Buckeyes. You know, keep a team in. Although I think that's more of a fluke kind of throw. I don't expect Hodgson to make that very often. If you look at some of his interceptions, it's come off whenever pressure's been there. He's been rolling out of the pocket. Hasn't been, in the best of positions. That one, he had a fairly clean pocket. Yeah, it started to collapse. And in reality, the defender made a great play. Sometimes that's going to happen too. He somehow got in front of Rahman. Got in front of him, holding full step with the guy with 96 speed. But got in front of him and was able to intercept that. Now that's the only score they put up. We have the lead 34-7. We've gotten 2 sacks. We've recovered a fumble. We've got a pick six. But so do they also have a pick six too. So those kind of balance each other out. So I think overall we're playing incredibly well as a team, right? And we're coming along. This is just our first season there. But I think we've done a good job mixing up some young talent with the veterans that we need. The speed we need on offense has really come through for us, especially with being able to stretch the field. Hodgson, that arm strength, let him sling the ball. Let him do what he does best, and that's firing those things downfield, especially with the throw power that he has. And so he's able to drop it in the pocket on some of these guys. Now, coming out here in the second half, we did allow a field goal, but hey, that's pretty decent for us on that one. And then here's our good old-fashioned end around. I guess not end around, it's more of a jet sweep thing, but let the players make the plays. Hodgson, as a freshman, now already has 2,000 passing yards this season. And keep in mind, this is game 6. So he's been through 5.5 games, and he's got 2,000 passing yards. That's because we've gotten him in a position to have the receivers get out there in open space. And then here comes Scott Farmer. I believe he forced the fumble, or at least recovered the fumble earlier in the first quarter. Here he is with a pick six. Defense stepping up big time on that one. Exactly what you want to see. 71 yards. He takes that to the house and just really helps to try to make an insurmountable kind of lead here, going 31 points into the fourth quarter. Now, what would happen is we would put our backups in. Right, I didn't do it. The game does it automatically. I think if you're ahead by 30 points going into the fourth quarter, and I do think it's 30, there's a cutoff. But if you're ahead by that much going into the fourth quarter, the game will put your backups in. And I just wanted to see if they could hold on for dear life. And they did. I mean, Ohio State got to 31, so 41-31 is definitely not as close as the game actually was. The score makes it seem a lot closer, but overall, I mean, it was a good performing win. Backups had some problems, but while the starters were in there, I mean, you're talking phenomenal offense and defense playing together, and that's what we really needed in this series. We're finding out our defensive style is going to have to be more of that zone defense, zone blitz style. on the offense, we've got enough speed. Just get them in space, whether it's a swing pass, a crossing pass, or a deep pass. Just give them a little bit of space, and they'll make things happen for you. So this is through week 6. We're 5-1 on the season. We are going to continue, but a lot of that's going to happen in the next episode. So while we take a look at some commits from Arias Reeves, I do just want to remind y'all to hit the subscribe button if you have not hit it already. And definitely give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this episode. If you're kind of liking the new way we're going over our team and our season, put that down in the comments and a thumbs up as well, because all those thumbs up really do help out the channel. And we're right below that 500 subscriber count. So definitely hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell icon to be notified of any of the Champion Sons content, whether it's college football, anything else we got going on the channel. There's a bunch of stuff happening. But just to hit that bell icon so you're notified whenever we do post something. And I'll see y'all in the next episode. Definitely let me know what you thought of this. How else can we improve this kind of presentation style? And I'll see what we can put out for the next episode when that does come. Hopefully later this week, probably the Friday after Thanksgiving. We shall see. But on that note, everybody, I'm going to leave y'all off here. We'll get ready for the game against Nebraska, and I'll see y'all in that next one. So as always, stay safe. And well, y'all know how it goes from here, right? Later, y'all.